We were going to record this because I think there's one or two people that need to leave early.
It's good.
I'm one of those. I'll not be able to stick for the full time.
Okay. So it looks like most people are finding that. I wasn't counting to see if actually everybody did. So the next, can you put the next slide up, please, Jim? And what Jim is doing is called sharing, and we're going to actually show you how to do that a little bit later. So slide 2. So you may have noticed when you opened up your chat box there was also a couple of little buttons that show there. So the mute me and the raise hand.
That's in participants, Pat.
So if you go to the bottom of your screen where it says participants and you click on that button, then a box will pop up. And then you will see choices of mute me, raise hand, and more. So again, I would invite everybody just to click on the raise hand. And this is what you may do when you're having a workshop or a class or a meeting and you want to have an element of control over people participating. So we'll go straight to the next slide because it seems like an appropriate time to talk about muting, which I believe the next slide is. Okay, how's that? So there are several ways in which you are able to mute yourself. So you can go beside your name. When you've clicked on participants, you can go beside your name, and there's an option there. So if everyone would please mute themselves, you can either do it from the very top there beside your name, or down below there's a button beside the raise hand that says mute me. Or the other place that you can mute yourself is down at the very bottom of your screen where you saw the mute and the participant and the chat. You can also click on that. And then what happens is that the little microphone that's beside your name has a red bar through it. So as a participant, you have total control over when you are muted or not muted. Additionally, whoever is hosting the meeting will also have the ability to mute all the participants or unmute them, and we'll show that a little bit later. But for right now, we're just working on our own selves and how we are doing. So we can let that slide go. So the other thing is, the other item is down at the bottom of your screen, there is a video camera. And if you click, it may be red, may have a red line through it right now. Or if you're actually on screen, then it will just be blank. So if you just run your mouse over that, you can stop your video like Dennis just did, or you can turn your video on. So I would just invite everybody to click on that a couple of times, and then it would be wonderful if we could see everybody who's here. Perfect. Terrific. That's great. So now the other thing is that on your screen right now, if you scroll up to the top, there is something that says speaker view and gallery view. And if you just click on that, you'll see the difference. So in one instance, there is You can see, well, you can see, I think it's whatever it is now, a dozen people at once. Or no, it's more than a dozen. Can't count. Canadians don't really know how to count.
You can see usually on the main screen you can see up to 25, I believe it is,
Okay.
at a time.
So when it says speaker view, you can see.
When you put it on speaker view, you can see 6 to a bank, and then there's scroll buttons that go either way.
So Jim, there's a message in the chat from Reverend Ruth. You may want to see if you can help her out a little bit, because she's on a phone.
She's on the phone. She can't be on the phone
No,
if she's got a message in chat.
no, she's doing video on the phone. Okay. Okay, so with Zoom, when you go to their main website, zoom.us, they have a fantastic array of tutorials and videos, and the quality of them, for the most part, the ones that I've taken the time to look at, is very good and very helpful. So I would encourage you, if you really want to delve into Zoom a little more deeply, or just to be able to understand it a little bit more in all of your free time, which I know we have plenty of time. We all have lots of free time. I would encourage you to go and take a look at them. They also offer webinars, which you can sign up for through, once you've opened an account, you can sign up for them. And the webinars are very useful, and that's also, they have them on different topics, so you just sign up for the one that you want to. They send you an email reminding you of when it's coming, and I've participated in maybe, I think, about 3 of them, and there's always an opportunity to ask particular questions that you may have. So they're very, their tech support, not their tech support, but their training and the tutorials is very well done, in my opinion. And then, of course, there's our friend YouTube. And if you go on YouTube, you can find, well, you can find videos about virtually anything, but you can find some that discuss, particular aspects of Zoom. And I find that that's very helpful as well. So, Jim, at this point, I'm going to turn it over to you, and Jim is going to go ahead and talk about some of the technical aspects.
Okay. As far as equipment is concerned, microphone is necessary, or if you don't have a microphone on your computer, you can also tell people to come in by phone for the audio portion of the class, so they can sign in on the computer to show their picture, and then they can come in on the phone. If you have an Android phone or an iPhone or an iPad or Android tablet, you can also use those, because there are applications for those that are perfect for not only viewing but for sharing and everything else. Newer laptops do have a mic, while the workstations, the older style workstations, may not. Then in which case you'd have to plug in an external microphone and probably an external video cam too. The headset is a great solution for your audio, because I don't know if Joe and his wife are in the same room, but a lot of times when 2 people are in the same room, there'll be feedback between the computers, and it's necessary to make sure that people are muted, that those people are muted at the time, because there'll be an extreme amount of feedback coming through, passing back and forth between their speakers and their mics and the 2 different computers. So that's something to be concerned about sometimes. I'm wearing a headset. Mine's a Bluetooth headset. So I had to remember to charge it, otherwise I go dead right in the middle of a class or something, which is not good. Luckily, my webcam has a mic built into it, so I can switch over to that. Computer requirements for a best Zoom experience. And this does not reflect anything as far as a tablet or a phone, because the smartphones and tablets are optimized to, or the applications are optimized for them and for the latest operating systems for those phones and those tablets. But we, as PC users, not so much Macs, but as PC users, can have anything from Windows 98 to, and there's still a few of those out there, and up to Windows 10. So all those systems will work with this. It'll just that some of the features that are available to us that we'll talk about today may not be available with some of the older operating systems. But the best for a good connection, a good stable Zoom connection, you not only need high-speed internet, either DSL or cable, but you should also have, Zoom recommends a minimum of a 1.2 gigahertz dual core processor and 2 gigs of memory, with a recommendation of 4 gigs of memory if you can, in order to use all the features without having any issues. And I know this is probably all blah blah blah, but that's it's a technical part of it, and something to think about if you wanted to do online classes on a regular basis and wanted the best experience, sharing applications on your computer and things like that, sharing a background like this. So now with the equipment, are there any questions about equipment? We have raised hands. Did you just not lower your hand, or? I'm going to lower everybody's hands. If you have any questions, go ahead and raise them again. Otherwise, I'll move on to signing up for Zoom. I'm going to assume there's nobody asking a question.
I raised a hand.
Oh, I'm sorry. Amy. Oh, or
Marilyn, I got the 2 gigs of memory or 4, but what was the other,
1.2 gigahertz dual core or dual core processor, depending on whether it's AMD or Intel.
Okay, you're talking mud to me, so I'll forget it.
The short version is if you are going to get yourself a new computer, when you're speaking with the salesperson, make sure that you emphasize to them that you will be doing a lot of video conferencing. So you want to have so you don't want to be getting the $399 computer, because that's probably not going to have the size, the dual processor and the memory that you need. So if you explain to the salesperson, they'll be thrilled to upsell you to something that will allow you to do this. But it's just important to let them know that that makes a difference. Does that simplify it? So I see two more.
I have no intention of getting a new computer, so that's fine. Thank you.
And everybody seems fine today so far, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. Dennis, you had a question?
Yeah, how do you get that cool background behind you?
Oh, we're going to get to that.
That comes later.
Okay.
We're going to show you.
We'll cover that. Joe.
And Joe, you had a question?
Yeah, I'm looking at my own picture. How much is a HD camera so people aren't looking at my nose? I'm tall enough that I'm looking at my picture that I'm tall enough that it looks like you're just looking at my nose all the time.
Logitech makes a variety of HD video cameras, and they range anywhere from about, if you buy them on eBay in brown boxes, anywhere from about $35 up to, for a 720p, up to about $80 or $90 within that range for a full HD 1080p.
And is that wireless or they got to be plugged in?
No, they got to be plugged into a USB port.
Okay, thank you.
The other thing that you can do is that you can lower the chair that you're sitting in or raise where your computer is placed as well, right? And even sometimes just doing things like tipping the screen, if you're on a laptop, allows you to position yourself a little bit better. I don't know if that helps you out or not. Someone asked in the chat, how does the host see the raised hands? Well, we see a little box beside your name with a little hand in it. And when you're the host, you have the ability to see a lot more and to do a lot more. And we will be talking about some of those aspects as we move in through the next half an hour or so.
Amy, did you have a question?
Yes, I never did find the part about the chat symbol or where you enter where you are or the video camera either.
Okay,
and
on
right
the bottom.
Now
Sorry, on the bottom.
I went to the.
Go ahead.
Well, I went to the bottom, but it has mute or invite or participants or leave meeting. That's all it has.
Really? You must have an old. My guess is you have an older version of Zoom. You can download a newer version by going to their website, and on the bottom of every page there's a footer. I'm kind of repeating myself, but if you on the bottom of every page at zoom.us, there's a footer, and in that footer is a download link.
Huh. All right. So should I leave now and try to do that?
Oh
No.
no, you're fine. You can you
Okay,
obviously
and
had
I
no
don't-
trouble raising your hand, so.
Right. Now, my screen shows nobody's picture. You know, it's got images of people, but no pictures. Are some people showing up on the screen in pictures?
Some people are not sharing their video.
So how do you, I can't turn the video on because there's no, so does that mean I can't see anybody else either?
Do you have a video camera?
Yeah, I do.
Huh.
It's on. But not only does mine not show, but neither does anybody else.
You must have I'm guessing you have what is the age of your computer? What operating system do you have?
Oh, it's about a year or two old.
Oh, wow.
10.
You have Windows 10. I don't know. The only thing I can guess is it has something to do with your Zoom application, because I'm not showing an option for you for me to turn your video on or disable your video, and which I can do at will with anybody.
Okay. I'm going to step in for a moment because it sounds like Amy, you and Jim should probably discuss this at some other time because there's obviously some kind of technical thing going on. And Jim and myself will be available not today after the call, but at some point in the future, and we will be delighted to help you sort that out. And we are going to get to the place where we're talking about the differences between the accounts, and I believe that's the next item actually on the agenda because someone was asking about that in chat.
There are basically two types of accounts we need to talk about. One is free and the other is paid. The paid accounts are $14.99 a month. The free account is obviously free. It gives you most of the same capabilities that the paid account does, except that it does not allow you to do registration, event registration, creating co-hosts, recording to the cloud, creating polls, or unlimited time in meetings. If you're on one-to-one, if you have a counseling business, you can have one-to-one unlimited time for your meetings. As soon as you log on a third person into a call, a video call, then your time is limited to 40 minutes for a free conversation. After 40 minutes, it automatically logs everybody off, and you would have to log back in again to that call to continue. So there is a lot of flexibility in the free thing. It's just the 40 minutes is the only drawback to that, my biggest drawback to that for most people. Let's see. Now I'm going to share my screen. Here we go again. Okay. Again, where am I? Sorry about that. When we get into settings in Zoom meetings, downloading the app. Again, I told you at the bottom of the page, I'm in the browser, my browser now, and at the bottom of on the Zoom site, at the bottom of every page, there's a footer. It's a dark gray footer, and at the second row of menu items over, the download is the top thing. When you go to download, you you can just go directly to Meetings Client here, and it will take you to their download page for the Meetings Client, which is what you want to have on your desktop when you sign up for a free account. You can use that to access, to make meetings, to do all the things you need to do to create your different events. So when we get there, you can see that from the plans and pricing, the free plan is on the left-hand side here. This is where you would sign up for it. You're allowed to have 100 participants now. When I first signed up for Zoom, it was only 50 participants in a meeting, but you can have a good sized webinar for people with a free plan, as long as it's only 40 minutes long, or for $14.99 a month, you can do it all day long and 30 days a month, which is a great price for this. And it's been around for a while. It's one of the top video conferencing call areas now, places now. So, it's very well done. So once you sign up for an account, you come into your profile. This is my classroom profile for this actual group, and in here is all the information, my login information and everything else. That's your profile. There really isn't a lot to talk about there. When you get into the meeting settings, this is what separates the free account from the paid account. Most of this is available in the free account. Private chat is not available. Co-host is not available. You cannot assign a co-host in the free account. You cannot do polling in the free account. Pollings are like, we'll be doing a poll at the end of this, but with polling, you can get people's responses from from the class you've had that day, or from a webinar you're giving, which is what we're going to do. Get your feedback from that, and you can ask questions and get responses, and then tally them all up and find out what people wanted more than what you showed. But all this different stuff is here. Breakout rooms. Breakout rooms can be very important. We do small group discussions in our classes. Breakout rooms allows you to do exactly that. what it does is it allows you to break out into smaller groups, and you can, we'll get into that more too. Anyways, blah, blah. What else do I need to cover? I think we've pretty much covered it all, Pat. Registration is a paid feature. With the paid account, one of the things you can do is you can actually put together a registration page in Zoom to have people. I have a website that has e-commerce and everything built into it and allows people to come there, and I collect their information for marketing at my website. But you can do the same thing with Zoom if you don't have any kind of an e-commerce or sign up place on your website to do it. You can build it for your course right here, and it gives them, when the people sign up for the course, it automatically sends them out a note that tells them what the login information is to access that class and what the dates and everything else are. So that's a really nice feature that comes with the paid thing, the paid account. Aside from that, I think I'm pretty much finished here, Pat. And so we'll move on to the room.
Were you going to show them how to actually set up a meeting?
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. Setting up a meeting.
Yeah.
You go to under meetings. Under meetings, you come into here and you can schedule a new meeting. So you just click on under meetings. You click on schedule a new meeting, and when you come into that area, you give the meeting a name. You enter a description if you want a description for the meeting. You can set up the date and time, how many occurrences there are of that meeting, the duration, and whether or not it is a recurring meeting. So, and then you can, if you hit recurring meeting, it'll offer you a place to put the recurrence in there. Whether or not registration, this is a paid account now, whether or not registration is required. On a free account, there is no registration option. And you can also choose whether or not to have the video on when people have your video on as the host when you come into the room, and whether or not to turn off the participant's video and the participant's audio. So you can you have all these different choices. You can also set whether or not you're even going to have a telephone option for whether you just want to have it as a video conferencing call, or whether you want to have it as a telephone call only, or whether you want both available. This one I made for video only because it didn't seem to make much sense to have a webinar on how to use Zoom by phone. You can require a meeting password for your meetings, and you can form a waiting room by leaving enable join before host turned off. By disabling that, and everybody goes into a waiting room until the host actually arrives. And so, or you can let them come right into the room like we did today as soon as they log in. You can also have the participants muted upon entry. And if you're doing a meditation or a prayer and somebody comes in late, you don't get a ding dong in your ear when they come in to the room. And then you would just save that out and save the meeting, and the meeting is automatically scheduled. And you can see, then you see your meetings in this block here. The meeting we set up as, no, I set it up in my other browser. I set it up as registered, a meeting here, and I set it up for tomorrow. So that would be the meeting that I just tried to set up. And that's where you find your different things. My Grace and Aging class, our First Century Mystics class that's coming up in October. All of these are listed in here. So that's it.
So do you want to go back to that to the screen where it's where you're actually setting up the meeting? And I just wanted to point out one thing about the choosing the time. No, not that one, Jim.
Oh, and you
Where
want a
you're
new meeting.
scheduling, yeah, where you're scheduling a meeting. Scheduling a meeting, yeah. No. Yes, that's it. Yeah. So there is a drop-down bar there for the time zones. And so when you're deciding when to hold something that may or may not be important, if you're wanting to have people from around the world show up, which is always a challenge to find the right time. One of the things that I attempt to do is that when I send the notice out, that I put in the notice itself the actual different time zones so that people can find the time zone that suits them, or see that, because right now it's 9:45 in Kamloops, and I'm sure that it's a different time zone. Well, I know it's a different time zone where many of us are. And I think that there were a couple of questions, Jim. I believe
Okay.
Amy has one.
Well, you can only set up one, just to be clear, you can only set up one time zone. When you
Yeah.
send out an invitation to that class, you'll have to add the additional time zones that you want to mention in it. Joe,
Okay.
you had a question.
Yeah, does Zoom have a place where you can send out invitations and store people's contact information so you don't have to go back and forth to your say Gmail contacts to get their email address? And you
I believe I have not used the registration feature, but when you use registration on a paid account, you can send out, whether paid or unpaid account, you can send out invitations to people. Normally, let me go to a meeting, and when you click on the meeting, there's a space here, copy the invitation. When you do that, it gives you an invitation here, says hi there, gives you the meeting time in Eastern time. You can copy and paste that. You can select all and copy and paste that into a Word document or a text file, and then add your other time zones to it if you want to, and then send that out. If you're having a registered meeting and people are actually using the registration feature, the event registration feature on a paid account to do that, to access the course information, then or the room information, then it should create a database for you, a CSV file of all the participants that sign up for it. You're muted, Joe.
ready to do a future, like if in 2 weeks you decide to do a Zoom seminar, second one that's more advanced, it doesn't have a feature to email each one of us that actually made the first one and offer it to us.
No, I've already snagged all your email addresses, and so I could offer it to you. Yes, I could easily offer it to you because I do it through my website, and my website, my learning management system on my website offers me the same features. It allows me to create a CSV file or to go in and take the email addresses from the course sign up that I created.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
There's a couple of other questions. Dennis, I believe you have one.
Yeah, what's the process if you want to record something you're doing and make it available later to be viewed by people?
There's a button at the bottom of the bottom bar in your access. I believe it should be showing in everybody's bar, and if you wanted to record that for yourself, you just press that record button and it will automatically record. What it does is it records it in the background, and then when we close the room down, it automatically downloads it. You leave the meeting, but leave your browser open, and it automatically downloads it to your desktop.
Oh,
or
wow.
to a designated folder. The audio, both an audio file, an M4A audio file, and an MP4 video file.
Okay, nice.
Okay.
Thank you.
My question is that invitation, I don't see where it is on here that you.
Oh, here, when it says here, invite
Oh, invite attendees. Okay,
invite attendees, and then on the right-hand side, it says copy the invitation.
got it. Thank you.
And then I just open that up, and that's what you see.
Thank you.
Sure. Amy, do you have a question? Or was that, we just didn't lower your hand from before? Okay. Pat, I can't see the whole crew. Do you know if there's any other questions, or are we good to go?
I don't see other hands raised. At
Okay.
the moment.
So we need to reshare the screen, and you're going to
So one of the things that I will mention is that whatever, whenever you're doing a class or a workshop or any kind of training, it's very important to have two people. So you want to have your one person that's basically the instructor or the trainer, and then you want to have another person that's designated to do any kind of tech support. So to be watching to see when people have questions, to be responding to things in chat whenever they can, so that people don't lose track of what it is that they want to ask or what they want to know about. Yeah. So I see that there are a couple of more raised hands, and I just need to see who they are. Melinda.
Hi.
Stop sharing the screen, please, Jim.
sorry?
Stop sharing the screen, please. Thank you.
When I hit record, it says you must get permission from the host. So how does that work?
The
Yeah,
host
normally, sorry, you want to answer it, Pat?
I was going to say that the host could record at any time without permission, but any of the participants who wanted to record would need to have permission from the host. So that means that just anybody that shows up at a class or a training or a conversation, they don't automatically have the ability to record without permission. And so I would assume that as the host would check with the participants and ask if that is okay to do that.
As the host, in my participants panel, I have a drop-down menu that has in it a menu item that allows me to let you to record our conversation. So if you ask me if you can record it and I say yes, I can press that button, which I did right now, and you should be able to record the meeting right now.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Okay, we have a couple of more questions. Vicencia, you have a question?
It's Venetia. Hi there.
Venetia, okay.
So we're in terms of the host, where again do you look for the ability to record the meeting, set up the recording for the meeting ahead of time so it's recording as you're doing it? For some reason I'm using an iPad, but I'm not seeing it where I could do that.
Okay.
Unless that's in the meeting where you're scheduling a new meeting.
Okay. So you cannot see it because you're not the host right now.
Mm-hmm.
You are a participant, so that would be one of the reasons why you can't see it. When you're the host, in terms of recording, it's just a matter of clicking a button at the bottom that says record. It's not very,
okay.
There's not a lot of detail required. And I do know that if you're on like an iPad or your phone, then some of the some of the
Can-
buttons and how you use them is slightly different. And there is more information when you go on the Zoom website, like in terms of using different shortcut keys and things like that.
Okay.
So, Joseph, you had another question.
Yeah, I was wondering, on the pre-recording, on recording something and then putting it up on the net, for people to check in and see during the week, to watch during the week. Can you set that up so that the people registered can record that, so they don't have to go back on the net, but they can look at it any number of times on their own computer without being connected? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, and I actually do not know the answer to that.
If I were to allow everybody to record this conversation, it would record it to your desktop, or basically to a folder on your computer. And then you could watch it from your computer at any time you wanted to. If I recorded it to YouTube, you would have to download it from YouTube. I mean, if I uploaded it to YouTube after I recorded it, then you would have to go to it and download it from YouTube. And there are applications that will allow you to download YouTube videos directly to your computer.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
So what you're saying is, if you're going to upload a class, you actually have to have a YouTube account to upload it to, right?
You're talking about just having a video shown on your account here. If you're having a class and showing a video.
No. If I do a class, say I record something on my video,
Okay.
on my computer, and put it up on the net. Can I put it up on a website, or do I have to put it on YouTube?
You can put it on a website and then link to it. And if you put it to your website, it's going to take up a lot of space, but you can do that. And then you can come into screen share into your browser and with that web page up and show that video on the screen.
No, okay, I was talking, what I heard Dennis ask earlier was if he could record something and put it up for people to go up and see. And what I'm saying is, can I put it up for people to see and then have those people be able to, if it's on my web page, can they then record it to their computer so they don't have to continuously go back to my web page?
If you have a cloud account or a Dropbox or something like that, that's a large enough account, you could upload to that and then send someone the link, and then yes, they would be able to download it as long as you gave them permission.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
And as far as having it on your website, it depends on what kind of player you're using on your website to allow them to download it. You can put a link on your website as well as the video. You can have the video showing, and you can put a download link on your website for people to download it. Now that I understand what you're saying.
Thank you.
Della?
Okay, so my question is, when somebody signs up for the meeting, does Zoom automatically send a reminder, or do you do that manually?
If they sign up for the meeting through the Zoom registration,
Right.
with a paid account, the link should automatically be sent to them.
So it would, and like how many days before? Is it that day before, or the day before?
Oh, it'll only be sent to them once. It'll be sent to them when they sign up for the event. At that point in time, if I were to have the event, I would go in and download the CSV file and then send out an email to everybody in that CSV file.
Okay, so you would have to do it manually.
Yes, you would.
Okay.
If you wanted to do it, reminder.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, and when you get the notice, you also have the option of clicking to have it put on your Google Calendar or some other calendar that you may have, an Outlook calendar or whatever you may be using. I think there's 3 different options. So if I clicked on that, then I would get a reminder like an hour or so before on through Google,
Okay.
through my Google Calendar.
Because I think it's important to personally manage letting people know because they don't show up. So doing it manually would be something that I guess I would have to do. I like people to get reminders because
I do the same thing.
Yeah, because otherwise, they have it there, they don't look for it. I just want them to know what's coming up. And like I was waiting for the reminder from you. I'm like, okay, I got it. Now I know what to do with it. Because some of the people that I work with are not as technologically advanced as some of the younger people. So make it easy.
Yeah, along the same lines, I'm for my next the Grace and Aging class is next Monday, so I'll send out a reminder to my whole group tomorrow.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, I haven't figured out how to automate that yet.
Yeah, because I know there's another platform called Webinar Jam Studios, which is a lot more expensive, and it does a lot of the same things, except it has all of those things are part of the package.
Right.
So, the reminders, the replays, if they don't show up, it's like you never showed up. So I just wanted to get a sense of what the differences were.
Yeah. Marilyn, did you have a question?
Yes. So will this take the place of Skype calls so that I can call England and different places around the world?
As far as I know, sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Okay. And the main thing I will be using it for is I interview a lot of people because of Archives having this Wise Sage project. And so I interview people. And so this is the main reason I wanted to get it, so that I can interview people across the country without having to go there face to face. And I thought this would be a good idea if I could make it work for me. But technical stuff, I don't know. So we're going to try. Thank you.
This is really all you need to do is what you did just now. If you have a free account, you log in as the host, and that just assures you that you are there and that you can set up the meetings. If it's a free account, again, you're limited to 40 minutes. With a paid account, you can talk as long as you want.
Even a one-on-one is only 40 minutes?
No, one-on-one, unlimited. But if you're doing a group call, you'll be limited to 40 minutes, and then you'll have to sign on again.
No, mine are all one-on-one. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Sure.
And generally speaking, the Zoom is far more stable than Skype. I think we've probably all had experiences with Skype where we've been booted off, although Skype has improved quite a bit in the last year or so. But it's another option.
Right. That's why I had to discontinue my calls, because Skype kept quitting on me. Now my problem here is sometimes you're frozen on me, and so I miss a few words. And I am not connected to cable. It's strictly Wi-Fi in our house.
So you may want to look at either having a cable connected to your computer, because that will stabilize, right? Or you may want to check with your service provider and see what your bandwidth is, because it could have something to do with your bandwidth that you're getting at home. And there is what's that name of that thing, Jim? A speed test?
There are several different types of speed tests. If you Google speed test, Wi-Fi speed test on Google, it'll bring up. Comcast has one, and there's a few others that are out there. You can actually check and see what your speed is, and they'll tell you it'll say whether it's good, bad, or or shaky.
Okay, well, today's been pretty good. It's only cut out a couple of times and was not for very long. So.
Okay, thank you. So, and obviously everybody's doing very well today, because you're able to mute and unmute yourselves and have your video showing or not showing, so that's great. So I see there's a couple of more raised hands. I'm going to allow for those 2 more raised hands to ask their questions, and then we're going to move along a little bit, because I see that the time is is pressing, and we want to get through a few more items on our agenda to make sure that we cover off a lot of information. So I'm not sure who was next. Melinda, I see you have your hand up.
Huh. Oh, there, I had trouble unmuting. I just wanted to say that I have pretty good Wi-Fi, but when I'm Zooming or watching a video, I go around the house and make sure my phone is off of Wi-Fi, my iPad is off of Wi-Fi, my Alexa is off of Wi-Fi, and then I get much better reception.
Yeah, all that stuff in the background will steal some of your Wi-Fi for sure. Thanks, Melinda.
And someone else had their hand up. Oh,
Benicia does.
Benicia, yeah.
I just wanted people to know real quickly that if you try to do a group with 40 minutes, it goes by very quickly. And then Zoominar will start sending you reminders they'll start asking you to join, and then they will give you a timeout. They'll let you know you're going to be timing out in 10 minutes or whatever it is. So just know that if you're going to do groups, it's really worthwhile paying for it. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to move along with our agenda here. Joe, I see you have your hand up. If you want to type your question into the chat, then we will make sure that we get back around to it. But I know that some people are going to need to leave exactly on time, including, I believe, Jim and myself. So we just want to make sure that we cover off some of the other things that people have asked about. So where are we, Jim, with the slides?
We're getting into the toolbar basics by Pat. And I have to find.
If you just go ahead and put the it's a black screen.
Interesting. Try it again. How's that?
It's a black screen.
It shouldn't be. We'll try it one more time.
There we go. There's the first screen up, so you may want to click through to the next one.
There's where the record button is for your. Shall I continue?
Yeah, I can't.
This is one of the screens under settings for recording. It's available under the under a tab that's not showing on the screen right now, but it's under general settings on the Zoom application itself. It's available under the video settings, under the video area, and it gives you an option to choose what folder you want your Zoom recording to download to, and you can change it or not. And it also tells you how much space is left on the drive that you're trying to save it to, so that you can have a pretty good idea whether or not a very long video is going to actually fit on that drive. So, and then change your drive if you have more than one. So anyways, that's that. Do you want to talk about mute?
No, the mute. I think the mute everybody has a pretty good understanding of
Okay.
how to do that. Right. There is an option as the host, and this is a little the little menu bar down at the bottom. It shows when you're the host, you have a few different options, so you can invite people to your meeting. Like once your meeting has started, you can go ahead and invite additional people, and it just gives you the different options there.
Or if you log in early.
Or you log in early, yeah, and you want to remind people. So the other thing that you can do is that when you're the host, as Jim is in this particular seminar, you also have the ability to make someone else the co-host, or you can stop the video, or you can put people on hold. One thing that we did not cover is that if you click on so you could stop the screen for a second, Jim. If you click on the participants button and you find your name, you can actually go in and change your name. Or if you're the host, you actually have the ability to go ahead and change people's names. Or so if everyone like clicked beside their name, there's a little drop down box, and then one of the options is rename, and if you just click on that, so I almost changed somebody else's name, not my own. So I just changed my name from Pat to Patricia. And there's somebody changed their name to Patty Joe. Is everybody finding that?
Can I add something? You can also right-click on your name in the box and get those options.
Right.
Yes. And when you're signed in as the host, you have many more options. But every participant that comes has the ability to change their name and to mute themselves and to unmute themselves, and to have their camera on or off. So as the host, it's great when you have the opportunity, if there's a lot of background noise or something, you want to be able to mute people so that the outside noise is not interfering with your meeting. And I think, like Jim mentioned earlier, if people have another device close to their computer, then sometimes you get a lot of feedback or you get echoey noises. So you just want to really encourage people to not use that. If you're having a meeting where people are calling in by phone, there are different commands. The main one for the phone is that most of our phones, our newer phones, we have a mute button on it, so you can just use that mute button. But there are also a variety of other shortcut keys that are available, and there's far too many to mention for all of the ones for our computer. So if you use shortcut keys, you can go and take a look at those. And there are some other ones for the phone as well, but the main one being the mute or unmute. Now we're going to move into screen. We're going to move right down, Jim, to the screen sharing. Which we do have a slide for right now. It is a black screen again. So we'll just give Jim a second to find the screen, and we're going to talk a little bit. The screens that Jim has been sharing are actually in a PowerPoint presentation. but unfortunately the screen is still black, Jim. And so you can prepare a PowerPoint presentation prior to whatever meeting or workshop or class you're having. And when Jim is able to get a screen up that we can see, we will be able to show you how you could do that. You can also show videos as well. You're still having a black screen, Jim. You can also show videos as well, like you can show files or documents off of your desktop or any of your Word documents. And here we go. That's the very first screen. So we want to go way down to the ones on PowerPoint and audio and video, up one from there. Okay, no, that's raise hand. Okay, so if all of the participants, so whether you're a participant or whether you're a host, you all, on the paid accounts, you all have the ability to share screen, which again is in that little toolbar at the bottom. And if you clicked on share screen, what it shows you when you click on share screen is all of the files that were open on Jim's computer when he went to set this up, this program up. So the key things to remember here is that especially if you're going to be showing any kind of a video or any kind of a video or audio thing, you want to make sure that you click on at the bottom share computer sound and optimize for full screen, and then you can choose which file it is that you want to show. On this particular one, the one that's green is the one that Jim had chosen, which is the from his desktop. But you could show a PowerPoint, which is the one on the screen right now that's in the bottom right-hand side with a lovely barn board. But you could pick that one, or you can pick anything, and then you just click on share screen, and then it will pop up easily and effortlessly, as you saw with Jim's experience there. There's also in the screen just before this, one of the options is that you can use is it in there? Yeah, the whiteboard. That always shows up, so you can pick to use a whiteboard, and then you can actually draw on it the same way that you would use a whiteboard in a Word document or in a PowerPoint presentation. And the details on using that would take another half an hour or 45 minutes, but it is an option that's available for you, so it's just to show you how to play there. Okay. Then polling is something that was mentioned earlier. So Jim, do you want to speak to this a little bit, because it's only available in a paid account, and you can actually design the polls yourself. You actually create your own questions. I'm not sure of what the full size is that you can have, but maybe Jim, you know that.
It looks like he muted himself.
I think, no, he's not muted.
Sorry, my headset's muted. Sorry.
Okay.
Again, the you set up polls in the when you set up your meetings in My Meetings in Zoom.us. You can set up a poll. Once your meeting is set up, you go back into that into that meeting area, and at the bottom of that meeting area, there's an area where you can set up the poll. You can add questions to it. You can go back and add more questions to it at any time, and then when you click on poll at the bottom of the screen as the host, it brings that poll up, and you can then allow everybody in that group can access that poll and answer the questions that are on the screen. So there's really no limitation, I don't think, as far as I know, to the number of questions.
Could you put up the poll that we're using for today, and then people would be able to go ahead and start answering it if they chose to, right?
Yeah, we can do that. Okay. Under poll, I go to polls, and then I launch the poll, and now everybody can start answering the poll. Is everybody able to access the poll?
Not on my screen.
Are you on a phone, Amy?
For audio, I am on the phone.
Yeah.
Like maybe you got an older version, Amy, that doesn't support it because other people are. The poll is should be overlaid right over your everybody's images on the screen.
Okay.
I submitted it, but it's still sitting there.
It may sit there until I close it.
Okay.
According to this, there's 12 people that are 4 out of 12 have voted.
It's not letting me do it, but maybe that's because I'm
You're a co-host.
Yeah.
Not letting me do it either.
So, are we able to forge ahead with talking? Well, maybe what you could do right now, because there's been a couple of people asking about the virtual background. But maybe even while people are finishing off, we can talk about that. We want to talk about virtual background and also breakout rooms, because breakout rooms can be very useful, especially for classes.
Okay. My virtual background, you can buy virtual backgrounds through Amazon. The virtual backgrounds come with 2 tripods and a green screen, which you buy separately. The green screen is just fabric, and you can actually use a regular piece of fabric. I originally had bought the whole setup and found I didn't have any space to really set it up. I didn't have enough space to set it up, so I bought a piece of electrical conduit and strung the green screen on the electrical conduit. Now that I'm in my basically what used to be my dining room, I moved my office into my dining room. That wasn't working for me, and so the package that I've paid about $70 for is now of no use to me. So what I found I could do was take a 6-foot window screen. I've attached it to the top of my bookshelves, and it just rolls down. I'll stop sharing my green screen for a second. And you can see that it's just it's a window shade, a 6-foot window shade directly behind me. I roll it down, and now it's a green screen. All I have to do is choose a background, any background, and it.
Can you close the poll down, Jim, please? So that people can see you, because they're still seeing that it's up, and just whatever answers we got are the answers we got.
Yeah. Okay.
There, now you may want to show them your different backgrounds.
Did anybody see? Okay. Let me start with the 6-foot window shade at any rate, and I just roll it down. It's attached to the top of my bookcases, and I just roll it down. Cost me about $25 at Home Depot, and I spray painted it with green fluorescent paint. 2 cans. It needs another at least. And then once you have that, you can choose any image file off your computer and set that as a background. I've got many different ones. I use this for my Science of Mind Sundays mostly. It's an old chapel that's gone back to the woods. You can add the Buddha to it if you want to, or you can sit out in the field, or create one for the Zoominar or any other class that you happen to be teaching, and it will be your background. When it rolls up, nobody sees it except me. So that to me, that was my least expensive feature for as compact as my office is right now.
So one of the things that you can all notice and see what background everybody has, so you can decide for yourself, whether or not you want to go through the expense of that. If you're going to be doing a lot of things online, it's probably worth it, or at least to give some consideration about your background, so that you can look more professional when you're offering particular classes and stuff. And like, one thing is that you need to be aware of what the background is behind you and what people are actually seeing. And if there's any open windows or light shining in behind you, it does affect the quality of your image as you're coming across. So you just need to play with that a little bit and find what works for you. So we're just going to quickly do breakout rooms, which is something that, like I said, is very useful if you're teaching any kind of classes and you want to have some small group discussion taking place.
Are you going to do that, Pat, or you want to do it?
I can't do it right now because I don't have the ability,
okay.
I don't have the power.
So I'm going to break everybody. I'm going to break it down into 3 rooms. I wish I could show it to you. And will automatically, you have a choice of manually choosing who you want in each additional room. Each room, so you can, if you have 3 practitioners or 4 practitioners and you want to assign each one of them to a room, you can do that, or you can just automatically break them out. I'm going to put everybody into different rooms right now and bring you back in about 5 seconds.
30 seconds, yeah. 10 seconds.
Can you screen share? How do you...
So you just have to say that you want to join. You have to
Oops. If you had trouble getting in, Venetia, it was probably because, well, I have no idea why it was, but
I didn't have trouble. I didn't realize you actually wanted us to go into it. I just put click later.
oh, okay, no problem.
Mhm.
Everybody else disappeared except you and me.
When I went in,
So just a couple of things to mention about the breakout rooms is that when you're in a breakout room, the person that's the host has the ability to come and pop into the room for a few minutes, and then they can also pop out. And they also have the ability to close off all of the rooms. Like if the time is up, they would just close out the rooms. And then it gives you a little bit of warning. But it's wonderful for if people want to do, any kind of like small group sharing or anything like that. And then when they come back into the full space like we are now, then they would have an opportunity to share what happened in the breakout rooms. So Della, you have a question?
Yeah, when I went into the room, I didn't see anybody else in the room, and there was no way to start a conversation or whatever. So in the real world, how would that happen?
You didn't see anybody else?
No.
You should have seen whoever else was in the group with you, because in my room there were 4 of us.
I know, and I was looking for that, but it didn't show. It just said participant 46 or whatever. It didn't show anyone else in the room.
Huh.
Do you have an answer for that, Jim?
I don't, because I saw what I saw was that break everybody down into 4 rooms and put them all in the room. I guess maybe the only thing I can think of is maybe the other people, like Venetia chose to stay on the main screen with me. She said that there was an option to join the room, which she didn't do. So maybe somebody missed the option to join the room or to participate in that room.
People aren't sharing video too.
That it shouldn't matter, I don't think. I think
Well,
you
you
can
wouldn't see them.
Pardon me?
You wouldn't see them. I'm not sharing video, so I was able to talk to somebody, but we couldn't see each other.
Right, but it sounds like Della didn't have anybody else in there at all. And it said it was like numbers, you said?
No, it said, I clicked to join the room.
Right.
And I was expecting to see either people's faces or their names or whatever in the same room as I was in, but there was nothing there but a screen, and nothing happened. So I was just curious as to what is supposed to happen.
Apparently there's a few glitches.
Okay. Normally you would get to see the people, at least if they're, by phone, you would see their names or their faces if they were in the same room as you were.
You should, absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
I didn't join a room. I stayed in the main hall because it broke it down into 4 rooms, 3 rooms of 4 people. So I stayed in the main hall, as did Venetia, and
then how do you pull them back to the main?
When you're in the breakout room area as the host, there you just click a button and it brings everybody back.
Okay.
And it gives them 60 seconds to finish their conversation, and then it will automatically throw them out of the room back into the main room.
Okay.
And also, when you're in the breakout room, if you want to go back to the main room, you can leave the breakout room anytime you want to. And then you end up back at the main screen where we are now.
Okay. I'm sorry to get to experience it, because this was a feature that I was actually really interested in, seeing how it works.
Could you do it one more time and then and see what happens? We'll just do it very quickly, because this is an important feature, I think.
Okay.
And then if folks can just think if they have any burning question that they need answered.
Della, you should be in a room with Joe, Melinda, and Sprite.
Right now, I don't see anything.
No, I'm doing it right now.
Okay.
Joe didn't join. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
and
Yeah.
thanks for doing that because I didn't see all these other people last time either. So
Okay, good. All right, this time it worked. Yes,
Okay.
got it. Okay, perfect. And so now how, all right, this time it worked.
Did that work for you, Della?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay, cool. It is a lot. I would encourage people to find just find a couple of other people and just spend some time, like set up a meeting and then just spend some time, half an hour or 40 minutes and just play around with it a little bit and see
Does
what.
does that work on the free version also?
There are no breakout rooms on
No.
the free version. Oh, and I'm
Okay.
sorry. Yes, there are. Yes, there are.
Okay.
There are breakout rooms. You can't do a poll in the free version.
Right, but you could do the breakouts just
Yes.
to practice and so on. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thanks.
But just watch the time, right? So
Mhm.
maybe just allow yourself 30 minutes because the time starts from when the first person shows up at the meeting.
Yeah, if I were going to do this, I would do the paid version, but I just want to play around and get used to it before I start, paying for the paid version.
Yeah, I will say one thing about PowerPoint presentations. If you're going to do a PowerPoint presentation, it's usually better off that you have a second person, if you can, actually show the PowerPoint and rehearse it beforehand. We didn't have enough rehearse time for this, but we should.
It was absolutely perfect, right, everybody? Don't you
Absolutely.
agree?
Sure.
Oh, yes, it was absolutely perfect. So we're going to close off right now, but if anybody has any questions or they would like a replay of this because they know some other folks that would benefit from learning some of these basics, Jim and I will be happy to put this on again at some point in the future. And I'm sure you all have Jim's email, or you can find us on Facebook or some other place. And so, Jim, would you just like to close this out?
I'll close this out, and I will send you all an email tomorrow or by Monday, anyways. So just know with me right here, right now, that all that we've done today and all that we do in our lives unfolds perfectly in the mind of God. That we are individuals and individual entities of the divine, individualized entities of the divine. And as we come together and as we move together in this world and in this arena of online education or whatever we choose to use this application for, that all that we need and all that we have is provided us easily and effortlessly, and it's all good. It's all God, and so it is.
So it is.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
so
thank you,
much,
thank you.
everyone.
thank you.
Thank you, Pat. Thank you, Jim, so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.